people. It could just spread throughout a department or a company, depending on who the person is, of course. And it's really tough when you have to face that person every day and be around that kind of energy. And the more sensitive you are, the more you will feel that and pick up on that energy and be affected by that energy. So I think it's a great topic to discuss. I'm sure you've experienced negativity in the workplace. Have you, Alyssa?
Yes, I have. Yes, I've experienced it myself and I've seen it. And yes, it's something that not only in the workplace
Well,
with
no, it can be anywhere.
coworkers, but also in other type of relationships, even close ones among my family and friends. And yes, so it's something that I feel it's really important to discuss openly, to learn strategies and ways to not feel like you're giving away your control or you are a victim of their negativity, and to know that you can do something about it. You may not change them because that's not the purpose, that's not what we are here to do, but we can definitely, like every other thing going on in our life, we have more power and control over those emotions and reactions more than we think.
A lot more than we think, and it's
Yes.
really all about how you respond to it. It's not so much about this is what they're doing or this is who they are. And I think it's helpful. It certainly was helpful to me to realize a few things about people who tend to be negative or bring other people down. One is it comes from insecurity, right? Because if somebody is happy and fulfilled and feels confident and good about themselves and good about their lives, they are not negative. They don't need to bring anybody else down. They don't need to make anybody else feel bad. Okay, so it's helpful to understand that there's often a level of insecurity which results in that kind of negativity. It could be a lack of confidence. It could be, that they're used to pushing people away as a form of protecting themselves. There can be many things that go into that. And that doesn't excuse the behavior. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it any better, but it's helpful to understand it because then well, actually, it's not about me, right? It's something that's going on with this person, and then you can decide how you're going to respond to that. I think another thing that's really helpful to understand is that some people, how do I want to say this? It's like they have a victim mentality and they are attached to that. It's like they don't know who they are without this pain, this negativity. They don't know who they are without it. And so what often happens if you're a very sensitive person, particularly if you tend to have a helper type personality like I do, you often want to help that person. If they could just see this about themselves, if they could just feel better about themselves, if I could just help them in this way. And you can find yourself being pulled into something like that, where you're trying to help this person who doesn't actually want to be helped. They might say they do, but you'll find that they really don't. And so it really is a case of focusing on yourself and what it's doing to you rather than what the other person is doing or why.
Yes, and I also think that these people sometimes they want attention somehow, and the way they unconsciously do it, it's being negative,
Mm.
because it's like being negative, and they may not do it on purpose. It's just a pattern that they have developed, and it's something that they're used to, and it's a way of receiving that attention. Unfortunately, it's in a negative way.
Mm.
That's something that I've noticed. Now, one thing that I learned being highly sensitive, and also how do I manage this type of reactions in me, and how do how can I do so I don't feel like they are taking away my energy and I feel so
Mm.
affected. I have a secret, or it's not a secret, but it's something that I've learned while I've been reading and studying more. And whenever I have to talk to this type of people, or I know that I'm going to be in a difficult conversation or confront somebody that it's negative, I usually make the intention already that this is not going to affect me, and I already set boundaries, like to go deliver my message and not get engaged in a back and forth. The other thing is I tell to myself affirmations or phrases to give me confidence, like I know I can get through this and I am strong, and I am not going to allow this person to take away my energy. Uh, Another thing that I like to do is to pretend or imagine that I am in a bubble, or I have some kind of shield that protects me from this negativity. So I don't feel that energy as much. I do feel people's energy, and not everybody is aware of this, but we all can feel this. And it's like that. I just imagine I'm in this bubble, I have this protection, and it works for me. It works. I think that's something that maybe it's a tip that you can try whenever you feel you are into this type of situations.
No, I completely agree, and that's exactly what I do. It's you can set an intention if there's somebody in your office or somebody you interact with regularly. It could be a family member, it could be just someone you see on a regular basis. Um, Before you're going to have an interaction with that person, set an intention that you're going to maintain your energy, and this person's not going to affect or manipulate your energy in any way, and you are not going to take on their energy in any way. And I love the visualizing a kind of bubble or some kind of protected shield around you. It really, really works. And if you have someone who has that kind of negative energy, I encourage you to try that. Just start trying it and see what happens. And it's it's like, especially if you have a pattern of that person affecting you or draining your energy, it's quite interesting to notice what happens when you start setting those boundaries, setting intentions, protecting yourself from that. Um, that negative energy that they have has nowhere to go. They are left with it themselves, and they have to deal with it, right? They can't pass it on to anyone else. They can't take anyone else's energy to help them feel better. So they have to deal with it themselves. And it's one of the best things you can do. And it's so empowering to know that you can do that. And then over time, you'll find that things actually change, so that that person doesn't really impact you anymore. They may not even be in your life anymore. They may, something may happen so that they move on or something like that. But it's so important to address this, because I know so many people who have left jobs that they enjoyed just because of one person. And so to give one person that kind of power over you, I mean, that's really giving your power away to somebody else, and you don't have to do that. You truly don't have to do that.
Yes, I think creating that separation, it's important. Another tip that has helped me is believing that this is not about me,
Mm,
and just saying this is their energy, this is theirs, it's not mine to take, and I'm not responsible for the
mm,
way they behave or they are treating me. I'm not responsible for that. And I also, with that shield, I make that separation, and I, even with my hand sometimes, I mean, imagining it, or just like putting my hand like this. It gives me that reminder. It's
mm.
not me. It's not about me. I'm not here to fix this. It's their problem, their situation, their issue.
Exactly. And, I worked with people. Sometimes someone will have a good friend, someone they've known for a long time, but as they get older, they become aware that this person is actually very draining on them, and that every interaction with them, they're always sort of dumping their problems onto you. And, you know, one of the ways to handle that, you mentioned affirmations earlier, and I think it's really important for you to claim your responsibility for yourself and not for the other person. One of the affirmations I like to use in a situation like that is, I am not responsible, or I release the need to be responsible or to feel responsible for anyone else. I release the need to feel responsible. Because if you're that type of person, as many people say to me, well, why are they doing this? And I don't understand. And I've tried to help this person, or I've tried to be positive, but it's just affecting me so much. Um, Stop trying to understand it, or do anything about it. Release that need or desire to feel responsible in any way for changing that person or helping that person, or you just are responsible for your energy. And it doesn't matter who the person is, whether it's at work or in your personal life. You claim responsibility for your energy, and don't allow another person's negative energy to impact you. So what would you suggest if somebody, let's say you forget, because this has happened to me. I forget to set an intention or something like that, and then I'm there, and then the person's, I start to become aware that the person is affecting me. Do you have any suggestions for that, sort of in the moment?
In the moment, I would take a deep breath.
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
would take deep breath. I would use some acupressure points that I like to use, that nobody has to see them,
Mm.
if that's possible. But just by taking a deep breath, I think it already sends that calm signal to your nervous system, and it helps you reset
Yes.
and just become present, and not allow your mind to just be spinning. And yes.
Yes. Yeah. And what I think, awareness is key, right? The only way to change anything about how you're feeling is awareness. So instead of beating yourself up and saying, oh, you notice that you're now not feeling great, you've taken on this person's energy or their negativity, it's affecting you. Instead of being upset with yourself because, oh, I forgot to set the intention and now they're affecting me, that first noticing, that this is now affecting me, is key, because now you've noticed, now you're aware, you can do something about it. So if you're aware that you've started taking on someone else's energy, you can say to yourself in that moment, I release this person's energy, I let it all go. And in that moment, you can reclaim your energy back. If you feel depleted, you can put the protective shield around you in that moment. But it's all about noticing and awareness, and the more you do it, the more you'll become aware of that, and the easier it will become to deal with those things. But you're right, breathing is one of the best things you can do, because if you become aware of your breathing and start to breathe slowly and start to become aware of what's happening, that will help your body to calm down. And then you take your power back in that moment, and you start to change what's happening.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I just remember one situation I had where I had a meeting with this high executive, and the whole meeting was complaining. He was telling me all the problems, all the issues. And at the end of the meeting, I felt so drained, so tired,
Mm.
because of all the negative things. And
Mm.
from that day, I made a promise to myself, okay, I'll listen to the person up to a certain point, but I'm not going to allow this to happen again. To have the whole meeting just be a time for venting and for me to receiving negative information. So sometimes, in my case, I learned the hard way just going
Mm,
through that experience. But it's a good reminder that I don't want to visit that place again. I don't
right.
want to. Uh, I wanted to help, of course, but that's not an effective and productive way.
No.
So what if I would have stopped that person in after a few minutes and say, okay, ask some questions, like redirect the conversation so it didn't turn into something so negative that
Right.
again it wasn't productive.
Right. And you truly can't help anybody if you're feeling depleted.
No,
You really can't. And
no.
our time is up again, but I would love to hear from anybody if you have this kind of experience. Um, if you don't want to post it, which I particularly understand, just send us a personal message, either one of us, and just let us know about your situation and if you try these techniques and what happens, what changes for you, and how it helps you to feel. Hopefully, you will begin to feel more empowered. So we'd love to hear from you. Our topic next week is sort of following on from this in a way, if you like. It's about difficult conversations, about how to manage and have those difficult conversations, those uncomfortable conversations, and feel better about it. So that's our topic for next week. Thank you to everyone watching this live or watching the recording. And we'd love to hear from you. So let us know how this is impacting you. And
Yes, and watch out for a poll that I'm going to be posting in the next few days of some topics, and I like your feedback. So
yes, yes,
look
we'd
out for
love to hear
that.
from you. All right. Well, thank you. And I'll see you next week, Alyssa. And we'll talk about difficult conversations. All right.
Yes,
I'll
thank
see you then.
you.
Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye.